Another example, I Square, we just finished. It's there because, of course, of many factors, but one factor, of course, is because of what's around it. You look at the buildings next door, they are of this height. The complex has to accommodate shops, a cinema complex, and F&B floors. So while the main bulk of the building relates to the existing buildings in terms of height, the cinema slightly projecting above to announce its presence, but the restaurant floors would project above it, so to take advantage of the view towards the harbor on all sides. So that, in a way, is the rationale for the profile. The other, of course, is the siting of the building relatively to the existing MTR line and the connection, and the fact that it is such a heavily used road that we set it back to provide a plaza that signifies the entrance, basically from this side. So apart from the internal program, the building is designed based on the inspiration from the city itself. So different views. And therefore it feels that it's very much part of the fabric. Now to stir things up a little bit, because this is the last two projects, no, just one more. Tamar. Tamar would not be like this if there isn't a need to provide a strong south-north link to allow people from the city to get out onto our waterfront. Because at present, along the whole of Hong Kong, there isn't, if you think about it, any such a link that is celebrated as it should be, connecting the heart of the city to our waterfront. So that establishes the Part T for the whole complex. Now, I'll just show two more projects that we both lost to our competitors. This is Taipei, David showed it. The Performing Arts Center in Taipei. I show it because this is like David's project. It's one that is influenced heavily by the ambience of that particular district of the city. We have the night market, we have the mass transit railway, we have the more upmarket commercial district in different directions, which is why we have to cater for really forces from different directions. We have a complex that have urban windows that addresses each direction and raised up from the floor so that people flow freely and activities could happen freely at ground level all across. And then another project is the cruise terminal that we proposed for Kai Tak. And although it is a cruise terminal, which is always just an object building, in Hong Kong, it actually has to take on the task of linking the promenade to the runway park at the terminal, because that is in fact a crucial link for pedestrians between two major urban public spaces through the terminal. So what we've done, apart from providing this link across the roof, is to ensure that when you walk through it, you could actually look into the waiting halls and departure halls, so that the cruise experience is very much a part of the public experience. So the public would get to know the experience of going on the cruise, even though they're just passing by or passing through. So to sum up, we have instances, even today, very much so, where architecture is so often just preoccupied with itself, looking inwards. Sometimes rightly so. Because there is no context, like David said, or because the context is so uninspiring. But there are instances where, like Hong Kong, architect has to reach out and acknowledge everything that is around it in order to make it meaningful and in order to make it of contribution to the city as a whole. So the two could be mutually complementary. And the best scenario, of course, is that we have the best of both worlds. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Yim.